15 years
Wow.
and a few months, being celebrated 15 tonight. My role, my main thing is making sure I have the right people on board and working at the right place in the right position and making sure they have the tools to do well. Now that's the one job I have. After that, it's a lot of support for everybody and again, making sure everybody has the tool and when they're struggling, then how can jump in to help. They might not know I really enjoy, I want to say the outdoors, the land, and like when I'm truly myself is when I'm in my working boots on my land with a chainsaw that's around and cutting wood, and that's when I'm really comfortable. Yeah, well, I've been in the bicycle business for 15 years before. I got into road cycling late in these 15 years, but what I like, and something I may share, I really like to challenge myself physically, like physical challenge. I really get a kick out of it to push myself. So for a bunch of years, I've used cycling to do this. And I went to Europe a few times. I'm a fan of watching the Tour de France. So with me and one of my good friends over 5 years, we went there 3 times and we did all the big cut. We did what they do in 5 days. We did it in 15 days, but still did it. I'd say that I'm first got now a few years of experience in running and being part of, it's called it international SMEs, like small businesses with the complexity of what we have now or what we had in the bicycle business. So we are a international small business. So this I have a lot of experience with. And I also have a very good sense of many aspects of the business. I'm a good generalist and I can contribute to basically all aspects of the business from finance to operations. So I think I'm a good fit for an organization our side to make it better and make it grow.
Yeah.
It's not an original answer, but I'd really love to be an architect. I like home shows like a lot of people, but when I always find a reason to move a wall, or we just recently redid our lake house, and I'm really passionate about this. I really like it. Right now, the people that inspire me is I've got close friends that are in the business that really were able to have a successful professional life while doing also very well on the personal side, being good with their family and so on, which right now I have a lot of respect for. So I feel it's easy to choose one aspect of your life and really push it and have a huge success in business or choose your family, but doing both well right now is something I really admire. Some friends that did and that I aspire to. The first time that I went on stage to receive the Canada's Best Manager from Altrum, I was really proud of, because I believe we got this because of all the work we did before taking Altrum PCH at the time as a manufacturer, integrating the deal toy business and now making it one business, and then you build a case for this as one business, and the fact that they recognized this, all of us, but that I was there as a person to represent us, I was really proud. One meaningful gift I got, first thing that comes to mind is my parents, and in general terms how, again, getting older, I reflect on how selfless and generous they were with all us four. There's 4 of us. It's commendable. I mean, they've put themselves back to allow us to have all these experience, all that education, and I think the 4 of us are at a good place now because of that. So there's that. Another meaningful physical thing I have is I ended up with the Omega watch of my grandfather that I still have. Got it rebuilt. It's on a drawer somewhere, but I really value this. So I'm happy that I ended up with it. I'm actually quite good at giving gifts to my wife. Like, I'm pretty proud of some of the surprise dinner anniversaries that I was able to pull off. Last year at her 50th birthday, we planned a trip together, and I was able to hide from her that my son was going to join us and he got at the airport, and she was like, "What are you doing here? Like, it's so nice of you to come and say hello to us when we leave." No, I'm going with you. And she was really happy. So
That's
some
really
of the things
nice.
like this I'm able to pull off. I tell them, which sounds silly, but I see how my parents' generation were. You don't name things, and I think it also comes from the culture at Altrum. Like, we work to recognize more, and I think it translated into my personal life in a good way. I'm not afraid that much to say it. And I want to say, like 15 years ago, before I was exposed to all that recognition thing that we do, I was more prude. I don't know if it's the word, but I was not naming things. But now I'm doing it, and I'm quite happy to do it, and I'm proud of myself that I'm able to express this. Also, I think just our values define it very well. So, plan, focus, better every day, and teamwork. It's really what we're about. So that really summarizes it well. My role, well, there was phases over these 15 years, but the most challenging phase that I have lived that got me to grow is really the integration part when we moved from BCH and we did acquisition with the Icon and so on in New York, and building these teams in one team took years, and it was challenging in a lot of ways. It was just something I haven't lived through before. Like, I was used to work in a business where we were all either on one or two sites, more homogeneous group. So dealing with different culture, different countries was a challenge. Back to what I said earlier, I think it's the strong culture and values we have, and the fact that there's a hard work, but also a lightness to what we bring. And I think the team and people truly appreciate each other. We end up building good relationship. And this is when times get tough, we'll say, hey, maybe I would consider doing something else, but my group is so strong, I'm going to put my head down and go through it, and then things get better, and turns out 30 years has gone by. When you come into Altrum, my advice would be take the time to learn, and learn from your colleagues, which are super willing to show you how things are going. And when in doubt, look at our values and we'll be all right. There's a few phases to the history of the company. Obviously, over 70 years, a lot of things happened, but originally it really started by this new innovative process of acrylic embedments that came in from one individual that came to a show, that went to an industrial show in the US, came in with the technology then, and they started to do souvenirs and gifts with this, simply embedding stuff in clear acrylic. They made a few years like this, and then it evolved into more of a promotional product part. And within that promotional part, then Deal Toy really came strong in the 80s and 90s, where now this is where really the business really grew quick as a manufacturing company. And very quickly by the 2000, BCH, then Altrum, was the biggest supplier manufacturer of Deal Toy to many distributors. So really defined as a Deal Toy supplier, but the mission then of the company was master of acrylic. So it was only acrylic based still, but not only embedments, but colors and stuff, and we were doing Deal Toys in acrylic. And believe it or not, I guess up to 2010, a distributor was calling us, I want an award that's in wood. We would tell them, well, call this supplier that does award in wood, because we do awards, but in acrylic. We're acrylic guys. And starting 2010, at the same time of the acquisition that in the Deal Toy field, we started to define ourselves as not acrylic masters, but really celebrate and inspire. We didn't name it that way then, but really like a recognition supplier. So then we started to add material and crystal, metal, and all the other things that we do now. So when somebody came to us for a recognition with a physical piece, we were able to do not only acrylic, but we were doing all these materials. So that started in 2010 with the integration of Deal Toy that made us move from a manufacturer, acrylic master, to a celebrated and inspired company within that span of time. Deal Toy is a symbolic piece of physical reminder of all the hard work that was put into a financial transaction by the people involved into it. So investment bankers, but also their clients. It's a really significant piece for a moment in the history of the company.
Yeah.
So it's putting physical piece that stays. A lot of celebration go around it. We talk about dinners and so on, but the only thing that's left is this in a lot of ways. So yes, Deal Toy evolved. So tombstone is actually the term for the business article that was on print in the paper. So when a transaction was announced, there was a typical way to announce a transaction on paper in the newspaper. The big evolution was in the 80s when the first guy that created Deal Toy took that paper and embedded it in acrylic, flat piece, so you can have it sit on a desk, what was on the paper, so it stays. And then through times, bases were added, and then components, and it evolved that way throughout the years. It got more complex and more complex and more complex. But at the base, it's really taking what was on the paper and probably thrown away the next day and put it physically on your desk in a way that stays. Obviously, the materials evolved. It started from being solely acrylic, paper embedments in acrylic, and then more complex colors and bases. I guess the first stage was this, and then adding what we call third-party components, so 3D prints, bubble heads, elements like oil drill that represent the deal. It was a slow but sure evolution toward more complex pieces, and then crystal glass happened, I guess, more recently in the big scheme of things. I guess in the last 10-15 years, glass and crystal took a big part of this as well. I trust that the need to have something physical to celebrate a deal that stays is going to stay. So that I really believe in this. What I believe is going to evolve is obviously the ESG concern is going to actually start to show in the design we do them. So more ESG focused pieces in manufacturing, I think, is something that's going to be really important in the future. So material will evolve. Really hard for me to know how it's going to end up as far as physically how they look. But as much as I think there's the digital part of recognition that's important, but the physical goods I think is going to stay, and it's for us as the leader in this industry to make sure that we come up with ways to celebrate transactions that are adjusted to our clients' needs. We're the first company in the industry that actually had a statement of action to get to a reduction of ESG in our footprint. So we have a plan that by 2025, our manufacturing footprint here in Canada is going to be zero emission. So we want to do it through first reduction, and we'll compensate in 2025 whatever is left. One thing to remember is we are lucky enough that we're in Quebec and are using what is the most green energy in the world to produce with our hydroelectricity, so that does help us a lot. So I'm confident that by 2025 we'll have little compensation to do to really have a zero country, like net zero manufacturing facility here in Canada that we want to leverage, and that I believe our clients are going to value. After that, what we call scope 3, which is shipping and the rest of the effect of our product. By 2025, we want to cut in half these impacts through net zero shipping, through ways of managing waste in a better way, and allowing our customer to understand how to dispose of their deal toy at the end of the cycle in a way that's green. So feel very good about that plan, and I think we are, and I think we'll be still at the forefront of ESG in the industry in the next years. Altrum's mission is to celebrate and inspire, and Deal Toy is one key component of it. Obviously, historically, this is something we've been doing, and it's still a big part of the business, helping celebrate deals. But we also help companies around the world celebrate other achievement and inspire employees. So we do more traditional corporate awards type programs. We also do recognition programs that are actually gifts. We even have software platform where you can recognize peer-to-peer that doesn't involve any products and where you can share point and so on and so forth. So we're really about, again, celebrating and inspiring, and Ilto is an important component of it, but it's not the only one, and we want to grow the other ones.